Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this week's version of the Awesome Show. Awesome Dynamic here. I'm Terry Levin, our Director of Sales. Excited about today's topic because it's one that I've had a lot of conversations with people about lately. Everybody wants to know about it. Tim's going to enlighten us on an Amazon topic of the day. Tim, jump right at it.
Thank you so much, Terry. Yeah, so today's topic is going to be, drumroll, learn about Amazon's Seller Fulfilled Prime program. So we're going to talk about the qualifications, requirements, benefits, and program details of Amazon's new Seller Fulfilled Prime program that they recently started rolling out to all sellers. So without any further ado, I think we should just jump right in. If I can get to the button. There we go. Okay, so first things first. What is Seller Fulfilled Prime? Well, Seller Fulfilled Prime is a way for Amazon sellers to provide Prime shipping benefits to all Amazon Prime members while still being able to fulfill all orders by you, the merchant. So it's an in-between between doing self-fulfillment options and doing the FBA program, where let's say if you have a very good fulfillment system set up with your own warehouse, and you want to be able to still offer the Prime shipping benefits, this may be a good option for you. But there's a lot of things to take into consideration that we're going to go through during the course of this presentation. But really, it's all about getting your self-fulfilled products to have that Prime badge for eligible customers when they look at purchasing your product. All right. So, how does this program work? So, essentially, what you do is you create a Prime shipping template in the Amazon interface, and when you create this template, you have to offer free 2-day shipping to all Prime members. It doesn't necessarily have to be every single Prime member, but you can actually define where this free 2-day shipping is offered. So let's say you're based out in California and you want to only offer free 2-day shipping to Prime members who are in California, a lot of the West Coast states like Washington, Oregon, Nevada, but anything really east of there, you don't want to offer free 2-day shipping. That is certainly an option. But the whole idea is if you want more exposure and you want more customers to see that Prime badge, you have to consider extending it further than just a few states away. All right. In addition to free 2-day shipping for Prime members, you also have to offer free standard shipping to all Continental US customers. So if someone is a Prime member but not within one of the states that qualifies them for your free 2-day shipping, they still need to be able to get free standard shipping for that product, plus all other customers who are not Prime members within the Continental US. They will also need to be set up to be able to get at least free standard shipping to them. All right. So the other detail about this is that a lot of customers or a lot of sellers use their own shipping service to be able to provide shipping to the customer. But one requirement for the Seller Fulfilled Prime is that you must actually purchase shipping through Amazon by using the Buy Shipping service. Fortunately, if you do have negotiated rates with carriers like UPS, you can actually link your own account to Amazon so that you can use your negotiated rates for the shipping. One misconception is a lot of people ask us, well, I always heard that Amazon's shipping rates are 60 to 70% off of what retail rates are, which is very favorable. The answer is yes, but that is specifically for the FBA program. Then that's for when you use partner carriers like UPS to ship from you to Amazon's warehouses for FBA. This model, where you are shipping from your facility out to customers throughout the entire country, that's not negotiated the same way as what Amazon's inbound shipping is to FBA. So while it is discounted, it seems to be on par with what most commercial shipping rates are. So you may actually have a better discounted rate than what Amazon has for some of these options.
Hey Tim, I was just wondering if we could go back here on this
Yeah.
must purchase shipping using buy shipping service. Can you
Yes.
explain that a little bit further? I'm not sure I'm clear on it myself.
Sure, sure. When you go to fulfill an order on Amazon, you log into Amazon Seller Central and you go to the orders page. And on there, you'll see buttons that say buy shipping or confirm shipping, all sorts of options to be able to ship that order out to the customer. So what Amazon is saying is that you have to actually go through Amazon's interface to buy the shipping through Amazon. And the reason for that is then Amazon knows exactly what the tracking number is for that. Amazon is the one that can promise that the product is going to be delivered on time. So they want you to buy the service through them as opposed to, let's say, you go to UPS's website, you buy the shipping from there, and then just send Amazon a tracking number for it. They actually want you to buy the shipping through Amazon.
So they're letting go, but they're not completely letting go.
Right, right. And you'll see some other aspects of that as we continue along where, you still get some of the benefits as if you were part of the FBA program, but there's a lot of pro and cons, and we'll kind of, after we go through all this, we'll discuss that a little bit more in detail.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. The other thing I wanted to mention is for those of you who do use a third-party tool to manage your orders in bulk, if you do self-fulfillment, there are a lot of third-party shipping tools that use the merchant fulfilled API, which means that they will actually buy the shipping through Amazon using that third-party tool. So for those of you who are like, it's a real pain in the butt to have to go onto Amazon and click on each order to buy the shipping, especially if you're doing, hundreds, if not thousands of shipments a day, third-party tools. And in fact, Amazon has an entire list of ones that they know work with this buy shipping or the merchant fulfilled API correctly to be able to work within the program. All right. So next thing is, okay, I created the template. I have orders coming in. I'm buying the shipping service through Amazon. The next thing is after you receive the order, any order that you receive by 2 p.m. must actually be shipped out and fulfilled the same day that it comes in. So if a customer buys 2 days shipping, so let's say today is Thursday, weekend coming up, so maybe a little bit of a bad example. So let's say it's Wednesday. If it's Wednesday before 2 p.m. local time, then you'll have to make sure all those orders that come in by 2 p.m. get processed and you actually drop them off at whatever carrier you chose to use. So USPS or UPS or FedEx or whoever you decide to use has to have it in by their last pickup time. So usually that's 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. Every location varies, but you need to make sure that it gets sent out and picked up and out the door before their last pickup is scheduled for that day. The other thing that you'll notice and be able to differentiate, so you'll be able to select which products you want to enroll using that Prime shipping template. You'll be able to choose which products you want enrolled in the Seller Fulfilled Prime program. And the way that you'll know if an order is a Prime order is there will actually be an Amazon Prime button right next to the order. So you'll know, hey, I have to make sure I get this out today. Normally, Amazon gives you 20, I think it's up to 2 business days to be able to fulfill a normal order. So this is saying, hey, you got to get it out same day. And it kind of just is an extra flag to make sure you fulfill on your promise. Now, one of the big things about Seller Fulfilled Prime is that you still get pretty much the same customer service benefits as you do with FBA. So this kind of goes back to the other thing we were talking about where because Amazon takes responsibility for the package, they actually handle all shipping and order related problems with their customer service. So that's one of those things that you do not even have to worry about. We're going to go into a lot more detail as to, how that really works. But in general, it's the same benefits as if the customer were to buy an FBA product from a customer service standpoint. All right. We'll continue on to more things, but I don't know if anyone has any questions before we continue on.
Not yet, Tim. I'm looking forward to kind of discussing the advantages and disadvantages versus actually doing FBA. But please continue.
Absolutely. All right. So next thing is you, as a seller, you do have to make sure you adhere to the same shipping, returns, and customer service requirements as FBA. So what does that entail? It means that the package must be delivered by the promised delivery date. So when you're going through and choosing which shipping service to use, you have to make sure you choose the right one that will make sure it gets to them by the promised date. And you'll see on the order, it says needs to be delivered by X date, and you'll be able to see an estimated delivery based on the different shipping services that they offer you. Seller still has to answer pre-sale and product-specific questions. So just like with FBA, it doesn't mean that you get to not that you don't have to answer any customer questions, but Amazon still says that if it's not a non-order related question, so let's say if they have a question about the product before they purchase, or if they have a question about the product itself, then those are the types of inquiries that you still have to handle. And that's any message that really comes in through the buyer-seller messaging interface on Seller Central. The other thing to know is that returns are auto-authorized, and this has been one thing that I know a lot of customers had some pushback about going to the FBA program is, hey, I don't get to intercept any kind of returns and try to prevent a return from happening. Prime customers expect that it's hassle-free, easy return process that they get to use. So that's something that you have to adhere to if you are going to be doing the seller fulfilled Prime. And in addition to that, customers receive free return shipping in most cases, and we're going to actually go through in more detail exactly what can qualify a customer for the free return shipping and what doesn't. But this is another cost that you have to take into account when you're figuring out, the cost benefits of doing this program. So I guess one thing I wanted to notate on there is all the shipping that because it's free return shipping for the customer, the seller actually has to pay for the shipping. So we'll go into detail. So who actually pays for return shipping in different scenarios? So in these scenarios, the seller has to pay. So if the customer says that the shipping box or envelope isn't damaged, but the item is damaged, then the seller has to pay for the return shipping. If the if there's a missed estimated delivery date, so that's why you have to make sure you pick the right shipping to get to the customer on time. Otherwise, you're going to have to pay for return shipping if the customer decides to return it. If there's any missing parts or accessories. If the shipping box or envelope and item are both damaged. If the wrong item is sent. If the product is defective or does not work properly. If the product arrives in addition to what was ordered. If it's an unauthorized purchase. If the description on the website was not accurate to what the customer received. If there's any damage during shipping. And any damage due to inappropriate packaging. Now, in the scenarios where the buyer actually has to pay for return shipping, that's where if a customer does an accidental order, if there's a better price available for the product somewhere else, if the product is no longer needed or wanted, performance or quality was not adequate, so the product works fine, it just wasn't quite as good as what they may have had hoped, which seems like a very big judgment call to me, but that's one of them. If the product is incompatible or not useful for intended purpose, and if the part is not compatible with their existing system, if there is excessive installation or decided not to install it, and that's it.
On that topic, Tim, if you go back for a moment.
Absolutely.
It's interesting to see the different reason codes. They actually have codes that go with each one of these. And you'll have some savvy Amazon buyers that really understand what combinations they need to put in when they put in the reason why they're returning. And they specifically put in those different reasons to get the free return shipping. That isn't a high percentage of buyers, but just want to make folks aware that that problem is out there. The other thing is, Tim, I wanted to see if you had any commentary, and I already know what the answer is. Is there any recourse for a seller if a buyer discovers that the reason wasn't accurate and that seller or that buyer did use a different reason just to get the free shipping?
In general, I would say that there is little recourse, but you could always open a case with Amazon to provide your case. So if it clearly looks like the product was in perfect condition, but they said that the product was damaged or missing, you can take photos of the return package and document it very well, open a case with Amazon. And it's not necessarily a guarantee that they're going to be able to reverse that decision, but certainly is something that you could pursue.
You
I have a
know,
question, Tim.
but go ahead, Phil, and then I was going to follow up with what Tim had said.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, just a quick question. Is this the same system for customers who are not ordering via Prime? Does this apply in all cases generally as to who pays return shipping?
This is for all customers who pay for who get the product through the Prime shipping system. So yeah, if they're the customer that isn't a Prime member, that's a very good question actually. Now that I think about it, it doesn't specify in their instructions. That'd be something I have to look into.
Okay, I stumped you.
Yes, you did.
It doesn't happen often, does it?
They
No, it doesn't.
they have a very extensive help section on the seller fulfilled Prime. So I bet you the answer's in there, and I don't know if we can certainly find that out, and we're going to be doing a blog post at the end of this webinar, which will cover everything that we're going through. So I'll make sure that that information is in the final blog.
The one thing I wanted to say, Tim, was even though you had a great response, which is you're going to go and open a case with Amazon, and I like how your solution wasn't argue with the customer, because that's what a lot of sellers try to do. Like,
Yes.
wait a minute, and then they go back, and you're just going to get yourself into a situation where you're going to get a bad review, and that's not where you want to be. So if you're going to reach out to anybody, Tim gave the correct response. You reach out to Amazon directly to see if you could resolve it with them. You don't want to anger the customer, because if they're already savvy enough to choose those different options, they're also going to be savvy enough to know that you really don't want a 1-star review, and they know that that's going to hurt you, and we don't want to even go there. So I'm just a lot of people get really tied up when the return is for a reason that they don't think is legitimate, and they're too close to the individual sale and the return. You got to look at it as a cost of doing business, step away from it, and don't let it emotionally charge you up and get upset about it. We've had lots of clients like that. When they get a return, they just get really upset about the one return. Well, they should have measured before they bought it, or they totally lied, and don't worry about it. Just take it back and see if you can use that as an opportunity to say, I hope you had a great experience. We always strive for 5-star reviews. If you wouldn't mind leaving a review of our business on our profile, we would really appreciate that. You could even turn it into an opportunity, but make sure you're not asking them for a 5-star, because on Amazon you can't do that. Google you can, but on Amazon you can't. So you got to make sure you disconnect that a little bit. Make sure you're using the appropriate language. But wanted to mention that as an add-on here. Tim, back to you on the next slide, please.
Okay, great. Yeah, those are really great points. You want to make sure you're very customer centric and provide that great customer service. All right, great. So a little bit more about the who pays for return shipping. One thing to keep in mind is that no matter the reason code, there are certain categories in which the seller will always pay for the return shipping. So a couple of those are going to be apparel, jewelry, loose stones, luggage, shoes, and watches, and baby. So if you sell in one of those categories and a customer decides that they don't like the product, under any other circumstance, the customer would pay for return shipping. But for these particular categories, the customer actually does not pay for return shipping. That return shipping cost goes to the seller. All right. Now, I wanted to also touch on another feature of the Seller Fulfilled Prime option, and that's to be able to offer same-day delivery. So, same-day delivery is an option that you can provide for Prime customers. It is an additional shipping cost, so if a customer decides that they want to do same-day delivery, you can actually charge a premium for that, even for Prime customers. Amazon partners with a service called Dynamex to be able to provide the fulfillment and delivery of all of those same-day shipping, and they're basically have hubs around the entire country, and they seem like a pretty amazing operation. The way that it works is that orders to be able to make that same-day shipping cutoff need to be received by 1 p.m. local time. Once all orders are in, you must pick, pack, and label all the orders that you've received and have them ready for pickup by 1:30 p.m. Dynamex will then come and pick up the order, all of your shipments between 1:30 and 3 o'clock p.m. So that's a very unique thing that you can offer that you really get to target some of those Prime customers, especially in markets like I know in certain parts of Chicago and Austin and Los Angeles. There's a lot of customers who get free 1-day Prime shipping, and not only Prime, but I think that there's even ones that do. I'm sorry, this is for same day. My apologies, going back. So for same day, they get same day delivery on a lot of products for a fee. So this is a way to be able to target those customers that really like to have that option for them in those particular markets. All right. So our next topic is, okay, this sounds like a great program. I think I really want to go with it. What are the qualifications and requirements in order to be a part of this program? So the first thing that you need to keep in mind is that in order to be a part of the program and remain in it, you must have over at least a 99% on-time shipping rate. So that means 99 out of 100 orders must be shipped out on time. Obviously, the higher the better. And in general, this is a seller metric that you need to pay attention to. Anyways, you should really never have a late shipment. But if you do, Amazon understands. You just can't have more than 1 out of every 100 orders. The other thing is that there may be certain situations where you may not be able to use Amazon's shipping service. And Amazon does say that at least 95% of orders must use that buy shipping service that we had talked about previously. The other thing is that there must be less than a 1% cancellation rate. And that cancellation rate means that the seller actually cancels the order for no reason. But that's just a general requirement of Amazon. You really never want to cancel an order on a customer. If you have the product, if you say that you have the product, you must fulfill that product. I think that there have been situations that we've seen in the past where our clients, I think at least one client had put in there that they had 50 products available for sale, and they sold a lot more in one day than they thought they would. And they had some of those 50 products actually sold through a different platform. So they actually did not have enough to be able to fulfill all those orders. So what that means is that they had to actually cancel some of those orders, which really kind of put them on the doghouse with Amazon. So that was really detrimental to their overall performance, and it takes a little while to kind of come back from that.
Yeah, you never want to be in the doghouse with Amazon, because as soon as your metrics start to fall below a certain place, you'll start dealing with lower rankings probably initially, and you could potentially get your listing or your account suspended, and that's not fun to deal with either, because it's not quick to get any of that stuff back. We do help a lot of folks with that as well. So it's always good to adhere to policy and to really keep your metrics as good as you possibly can. Back to you, Tim.
Great. Thank you, Paul. All right. So since those are all the requirements to be able to be in the program, how do you qualify? Well, you qualify by going through a 90-day Prime trial. What that involves is you initiate the trial, then you have between 5 and 90 days to complete 200 orders. During trial, you must adhere to all the above mentioned performance requirements, so that 99% on-time shipping rate, 95% by shipping service rate, and less than 1% cancellation rate. One thing to know is that during this trial, the Prime badge will not show on the customer page. So Amazon, doesn't know whether or not you can actually fulfill the orders in time. So they have to more or less be very cautious and make sure that you can actually fulfill on these promises. And if you do fail to meet any of the requirements, the trial will actually be reset and you'll be able to start over from the beginning. So that's, in a nutshell, is how the Seller Fulfilled Prime program works, how you how you qualify, what the requirements are, and just pretty much all the details about it. So before we move on to the next section, I wanted to see if there's maybe any questions or maybe do a little bit of a promotion.
I'd like to jump in on both of those items if I could.
Absolutely.
I have a question first. So these initial requirements up on the top here, what kind of time frame? I mean, do you have to be on? Let's say you're a new seller. I mean, what kind of, before you go into the trial, you have to hit these landmarks, right?
No, even if you're a brand new seller, you can actually say that you want to start the Prime trial right away. So even with your first few shipments, you can absolutely do that right off the bat. So there's no prerequisites other than starting the Prime trial.
So those landmark numbers that are the first 3 points on this slide can be achieved during the trial period.
Oh yes, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I thought there was some kind of you had to have some kind of a track record to even get into the trial.
Gotcha. No, this trial serves as that track record proof. So
literally anybody who's interested in doing this can jump in, set up, get into the trial, and then they have to perform.
Mm-hmm. And Amazon, there may be, as far as I know, every single seller we talked to got the quote-unquote invite, which I think was just a link to say like, hey, we have this new program open to everybody to start the Seller Fulfilled Prime trial and see if you qualify for it. And I don't think there's any other requirements outside of that as far as I read in any documentation.
Okay.
That does sound correct, and we did some research because for a while it seems like this was invite only, and now it seems to be Amazon's middle ground for just about anyone. So yes, we think they are opening it up to everyone.
Okay.
Yeah, and in addition to that, kind of to expand on that, it was a program that was only available to Amazon vendors, where vendors were selling. When Amazon would sell something, they would send the order over to the vendor to fulfill that order. So, and Amazon would pay for the shipping and everything else. So this is a way for them to kind of bring it to your everyday seller.
And among the first invitees after it came to the Seller Central folks were people that had like perishable items. We've started finding that a lot of our contacts that had, let's say, fresh flowers or food were being invited to the program because that stuff doesn't really store well in an Amazon warehouse that's not temperature controlled and could be sitting there for a while. So, and I'd like to get into, is it worth it soon? But before we do that, Terry, tell us about Awesome Dynamic, would you?
I would love to. All right, folks. So as you can tell from what we've been talking about so far, if you're first time joining us on our webinar, one of the things we do here at Awesome Dynamic is help people with their Amazon seller accounts. We do have a number of ways we do that, but the bottom line here is that we want to optimize your listings and your profits and sales. So we do that quite a bit. We would love to talk to anybody who's interested in hearing more about that. Amazon seems to be, as you see from this slideshow, a lot more complex than most people think when they want to jump in. So we can help you figure out the best way to do that, and as I said, optimize those margins, those sales. And we have some very successful clients. We're happy to talk to you about how they've done what they've done and how we can help. So other things that we do here, basically, it's all about, as you see right there, getting you targeted customers. We do develop responsive web design for people. We also do SEO services. So we're going to get you that great website, but we're also going to drive traffic to that website for you. So we have done our own SEO here, and it has done wonders for us. And new customers are calling us every day, and we want them to be calling you every day as well. We are at this point where customers are calling us. We're not out looking for them. They are coming to us, and that's the place that every business wants to be, and we can get you there. So that is a quick rundown. We'll talk a little bit more about some of the other things we do and a little bit more about our website as we close things up. But I want to really get back to this because there's a lot more to talk about in the self-fulfilled prime world here. So Tim, can we get right back to it?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Terry. All right, so I'm still in the slide because we actually did get a question in. We have Paul who asked the question, and let me go ahead and broadcast it to everyone. What if you don't get 200 orders in the 90 days? So that's where the last bullet point here is. If you, let's say you only had 150 orders by the time that 90-day trial runs out, then what will happen is that trial will then reset back to 0, and you then have to fulfill another 200 orders within those 90 days again. So yeah, you just have to, it just gets reset over and over and over again until you finally meet the requirements and complete the number of orders necessary.
And that's the key here is, is it worth it? And that's what I wanted to get to in a moment. But it is not going to be easy to get that, especially as a new seller. So, and if you're just starting out, how do you get the volume? So you have a few issues there to deal with. But we'll get to that in just a moment. Tim, you want to head to the next slide?
Absolutely. So this is kind of where the end of my official presentation is at. So I don't have anything else on here to really talk about, but I wanted to kind of have this as a loose discussion between us to kind of talk about, okay, based on all this information that we know about FBA, self-fulfillment, and now seller-fulfilled prime, what would really be the pros and cons between doing these different programs? So, let's start with talking about in fact, no need to look at this anymore. You can see my face now. So this is the first thing that we want to talk about is, okay, so I'm currently doing FBA. Actually, let's start the other way. I'm currently doing self-fulfilled, but I understand that there's a lot of benefits of being part of the Prime program. I'm just not a really big fan of handing all my inventory over to Amazon to have them do this. Why would I maybe want to do the seller-fulfilled prime program instead of just doing self-fulfilled? So some of the pros of going with seller-fulfilled prime, and the biggest one really, is being able to have that prime logo show up for your products whenever you have a prime customer visit your product page. So that, I think, is really the hugest benefit. And to be quite honest, and we said this time and time again, there are so many customers on Amazon who look and filter by whether or not a product is available for prime shipping. So that's a very, very powerful thing. And I think that, that's what I do. I think, Paul, I mean, that's how you approach this as well, correct? I mean, that's how I shop on Amazon.
Yes, it is. And, it's because I don't want to wait more than 2 days to get what I want. And a lot of times I just want it tomorrow. So I'll pay the extra couple bucks to get it. And yeah, people really underestimate how many buyers are filtering by Prime all the time. It's on average, we're always coaching our clients to go full FBA because it drastically increases their sales every time we do it. So if you're able to say you have a product, we have one client that has some supplements that we handle for them, and they can't have it in the Amazon warehouse during the summer months because it's too hot and there's no temperature control there. So we actually put it in the FBA program during the cooler months, but then in the warmer months we pull it back and we handle the fulfillment on their behalf. And we do enough volume that we just got invited through my other company to Seller Fulfilled Prime. So our 90-day period is going right now. When we get to the end, we're obviously very good at making sure that we meet all the requirements all the time. We'll have that Seller Fulfilled Prime option very soon. But having it versus not having it is just so important. I think the reason why the product sales on that particular supplement stalls right now is because it doesn't have that Prime logo 2/3 of the year, maybe even more, 3/4 of the year. So I think if it was Prime, a lot more people would actually be finding it. Tim made the comment when he first started talking about this, when someone goes to your page and doesn't see your Prime logo, well, people might not even be getting to your page unless you have it to begin with, because if they're filtering by it, your product's not even going to show up. So it is so important. Don't underestimate the power of being in the Amazon Prime program.
I have that conversation with almost every potential client we talk to, and what I call myself as a Prime snob, and they all laugh and say I'm one too. And we all talk about, so I don't see anything that isn't Prime. So that takes that right out of the picture. I guess the no-brainer here is any product that can't really sit in the warehouse in the summer. I mean, that's sort of a no-brainer if you can still get the Prime and not have to worry about those summer issues for those type of products. That's just a great place to be.
Yeah, and there's several products that just do not qualify to be able to be sent into Amazon FBA warehouses. A lot of perishable goods that are contained in glass containers. So Amazon says that liquid products that are larger than, I think it's like 3 or 4 ounces, that are in glass containers cannot be shipped into FBA. Anything that is careful temperature control, like we talked about, supplements that are very carefully temperature controlled, chocolate, looking at especially during holidays, that might be something to worry about, because those Amazon warehouses can reach temperatures of up to 100 degrees. So Amazon even says if your product cannot survive between 50 degrees and 100 degrees Fahrenheit, that you can only send in during that's the concern, is you can't send it to FBA if it can't survive those temperatures outside of that.
Yeah, the one thing I want to say is this Seller Fulfilled Prime. If you're thinking about, oh great, finally I can be Prime and I don't have to send my products to Amazon. I gotta tell you, it's so worth it to go the FBA route, because they just handle everything for you. You literally don't have to handle anything. And Tim, I have this question because I didn't even think of it until now. If you're Seller Fulfilled Prime and the carrier, let's say, damages the package and it shows up at their door and they leave a bad feedback on your seller account, does Amazon take responsibility like they do in the FBA program? I would imagine not, right?
No, they do. And that's
Really?
because, as I said before, you get the same benefits as if the product was shipped from an Amazon warehouse in terms of customer service, return policies, and everything else. So Amazon will say, this product has been fulfilled by Amazon, because that's what it really looks like. It's really indistinguishable to the customer from an FBA order.
So it even says at the tag at the top, it even says shipped by Amazon?
Shipped and sold by Amazon. I believe it does, yes.
Or sold by the seller and shipped by Amazon.
Right. So,
right.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, interesting. But regardless, if you don't have the fulfillment capability to take care of that and making sure that you can get that product out to folks within Amazon's high standard, which is very high. We've worked with lots of large manufacturers that and they just struggle with doing the self-fulfillment or the fulfillment process because, Walmart was sending their trucks this week, so we were really on top of sending our product into these individual customers because this more important thing was happening over here. Well, immediately your Seller Fulfilled Prime would be taken away in that case. So, I mean, you gotta really prioritize their customers. They're offering this program, and you got to really be Johnny on the spot with everything to make sure that you're not going to lose that opportunity. It is a huge opportunity that they give you to get that little Prime tag on there and let you do it on your own. They're putting a lot of faith in you, but with that faith they're putting in you, Obviously, you have to prove it over 90 days, and then you have to be held to that extremely high standard. But if you don't want to deal with that, you're like, oh, this is ridiculous. How I have to pay for 2-day shipping? Yeah, that's really expensive if I want to offer that across the United States. That's why they have the FBA program. Send it all into them. Let them deal with it. Tim, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100% that it's going to be a huge benefit for the sellers who want to still be able to fulfill themselves and get that Prime badge. But yeah, you just got to be very customer centric.
So you think about it, 2-day shipping rates are really expensive. And if you're required to do that, you have to build that into your price if you're going to keep the margin that you want, and that might make it so that you're not able to price competitively. So that's where, you know, we actually have a potential client that we're talking to after this webinar that specifically is looking for a less expensive way to ship his product. Because he can't get into the FBA program yet because that deadline is it opens back up on December 19th. But he's looking for a less expensive way to ship his product. It's a large product and it weighs about 5 pounds, but he's paying $20 to ship it every time he has to ship it. And he's like, this is killing me. So they do have programs like SurePost with UPS and SmartPost with FedEx, where you can actually get cheaper shipping rates. They kind of do a combo with the United States Postal Service, but that's not going to be 2 days by any means. So yeah, you're going to have to pay quite a bit for that 2-day shipping. That's why Tim mentioned during the webinar that you can create a limitation of how far you're willing to go with your service area on that 2-day free shipping. But yeah, it can be expensive. So I think the greatest area of opportunity with this seller fulfilled Prime option is probably people who have highly perishable goods that perish very quickly, like flowers, maybe certain types of food, things like that. I think would be perfect because those you have to ship fast anyway. There's no way you're going to be able to deliver on something like that unless you were shipping fast. So if you're already doing something like that anyway, that's probably a great way to get into this seller fulfilled Prime and really take advantage of it. I think that's where a lot of folks can really make a huge difference. Blake, any commentary on this program from your perspective?
The only commentary I had, which is a little far away from what we were talking about, was the way I feel about Prime versus non-Prime. As someone who used to sell things on eBay and used to actually purchase off eBay, when I see someone without the Prime badge, they've got that almost eBay-esque feel. I know there's some situations where you can't get something Prime, but part of the reason I shop with Prime only, and I consider that so important, for me is the customer experience with the customer service, because if something does go wrong, I have zero worries about my purchase and the money I invested in something off Amazon. And that's just a really comforting feeling where it's night and day versus seller fulfilled. You're still allowed to return your product, but it might not be as seamless and as easy to recoup a loss or something that goes wrong. So I just wanted to point that out, but everything else has been covered quite well so far in this webinar.
Terry, what do you, from some of the folks that you talk to, how many folks do you have that ask you about the seller fulfilled Prime nowadays?
It seems to be coming up more just fairly recently. I don't know if that's because it's opened up, so to speak, from, maybe how it started. But a lot of people, it seems like they have their own ability to fulfill the orders, so they'd rather not send it in. I don't know why. I guess some are looking to get out of the fulfillment altogether, but there are some people that are just sort of attached to it, want to do it. Sometimes it's a issue of perishable or a product they're worried about heat sensitivity too. But generally, I think some that just are shipping for their other sales channels and just figure, why can't I just ship? I'd like to be able to ship my own. So it's coming up quite a bit of late.
We're on the path to get seller fulfilled Prime in my Amazon business very, very soon. So we're going to be proactively participating in it. But I think really the hugest opportunity is those folks with highly perishable items. So if you're, I've looked at a lot of really frozen goods are perfect perishable items to sell on Amazon. There's not a lot of people trying to do it. It's hard to do. You think about it, if you're doing, let's say, 5 pounds of frozen shrimp and you're willing to ship it 2 days anywhere in the United States and you got a really good shrimp product, so you might think to yourself, well, who's going to pay for what I would charge for that? Because they could just go to the local market and pick up some shrimp. Well, there's a lot of people out there that are willing to pay to just have something delivered to their door, and and they're willing to pay a premium for it too. That's the whole concept when we explain Amazon FBA and how you do Prime through there. I remember, and the example I like to use is when I used to buy my dog food from Amazon. I recently switched to something else that I can only get at Costco. But when I used to buy a certain type of dog food, I could either get in my car, drive to the pet store, which takes me 15 minutes, get out of my car, go into the pet store, go to the 50-pound bag of food for my 2 big boxers, schlep it up to the counter, put it on there. I have to go through the whole process of checking out, which is not a big deal. But then I have to pick up this 50-pound bag again, go up to my car, open the trunk, put it in there, drive 15 minutes back home, open the trunk, pick up the 15 or the 50-pound bag, and bring it into the house. And that took me about 45 minutes, and I had to pick up this 50-pound bag several times. Or I can pay $5 more than the pet store, and it shows up in my door in 2 days, and I just drag it inside the house. So I save 45 minutes and the aggravation of dealing with traffic and everything else by paying $5 extra. And a lot of people think in that way, and they automatically will just, yep, I'll pay $5 extra for this if I don't have to go to the store. Tim, Blake, anybody else on the webinar here, do you guys think in that way as well?
To that extent, I don't think a lot of people realize, for example, people who live in Key West, where you're an hour to 4-hour drive from a ton of stores and it's not even feasible. You might live in the middle of the mountains, the middle of the desert. These people are all tech savvy, probably dealt in the real world, but don't have access to products that Amazon will ship to this out here. And yes, if you work into that cost to your niche product, it's customers that you just don't think of that are located, that are tech savvy and will purchase and trust that Prime logo as well. So you've got to think of the people who live in the middle of nowhere, and like you said, for an efficiency purpose, or just people who know, hey, this is an hour and a half of my time, I can work, whatever you get paid per hour, and know that you're also, whether you work at home or you're at the office, hey, I can stay and do some overtime. And it's just efficient for you in many different ways. So you've got to think of those people and combine it with the fact of that Prime logo.
Right. And Blake, it isn't people in the middle of nowhere. Even an area I was looking to buy a house in last time I was here in Florida, about a year and a half ago. There's this area called Golden Gate Estates just east of Naples. It's 45 minutes out. It's not in the middle of nowhere, but it literally takes 45 minutes to get to any store. So it's a little bit into the middle of nowhere maybe, but it's not convenient to go out and do anything. And there's a lot of people that live out there. There's huge neighborhoods out there, and they're all driving 45 minutes to go to the grocery store when they need to go. So yeah, those are all over the place in the United States, and they're that target audience that you're really catering to when you're in Amazon Prime. One of the big audiences that you should be considering.
Yes.
All right. Terry, Phil, any other commentary or questions? And I should say I'm sorry, Terry, those of you that are in the webinar participating or at least watching, please ask us your questions. We'd be glad to answer those. Go ahead, Terry.
Absolutely. So I was just thinking, pardon me, about the scenario of some of these people that might have a product that's good in the warehouse year-round, except for the summer months. So I guess FBA for them, getting into this pathway to the self-fulfillment, having that hopefully ready, accomplished by that time, and then just switching over for the summer months and then right back in to FBA would be the way to go?
What do you think, Tim?
Good question. There's actually a section on their site about how your seller fulfilled prime enrollment can be revoked. So I'm going to quickly read through that to see if that, because my concern is if you stop fulfilling orders, then your metrics. I mean, you basically have zero metrics again, and my worry is, do you have to redo the trial again to then requalify when you decide to start it up again? So I'm gonna look into that really quick here.
Had a potential client or someone who just actually signed up with us with some lipsticks and some other cosmetic products, and there was that concern of the heat. So that was one of the workarounds we were talking about, was the possibility of going in that direction.
Right. And yeah, so okay, heat, how big of a factor is it? We did look into this with Amazon. Your product has to be able to maintain itself up to 95 degrees Fahrenheit in during certain months, the summer, end of spring, beginning of fall. During that range, needs to be able to withstand going up to 95 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's really the top end. If you're wondering what the temperature high is, that's something your product must be able to withstand.
Okay.
I call it the chocolate melting deadline, because I know they sent out an email about the melt restrictions have been lifted and you can send in your FBA product now. Tim, sounds like you found the information, right?
Yes. So the answer to your question, Terry, is that as far as I can tell, so long as your metrics do not fall below their requirements, then you will always be prime eligible or self-fulfilled prime eligible. The biggest thing, though, is that let's say you start back up and you get 2 orders out of the first 10 that you sent that were delivered late, or that were, there's just problems with them. Then that could probably disqualify you right off the bat, because basically Amazon looks at your metrics to the last 30 days. And if the last 30 days you only sent 10 orders because it's 2 days into your to resuming it, then they could revoke your enrollment.
Got it. All right.
Terry, do you want to do our wrap up then?
I would love to. All right. So again, we want to thank everybody who joined us today. Remember that we have webinars every Thursday at 12:30 Central Time. Want to take you on a quick run through our website. Want you to take a look there. Right up top, first of all our past webinars are up there. So when you have some time to look around, you'll find subjects like these. We can answer a lot of your questions right there, and you can watch them at your leisure. So hopefully people find that very valuable to take some time and look at those, not just in the Amazon world as well, but also in the website and SEO realm as well. You're going to see a lot of great information there. So I want you to take advantage of that. Want to remind you that, yes, we do responsive web design. Responsive, for those of you that might not know, just means that as you look at a website on any different type of device, it's going to adjust appropriately and work appropriately, so you won't have any problems on a phone, a tablet, those kind of things. SEO gets you found. That's how we get you those targeted customers. We have some great models on different ways that we can help either teach you how to do it or go ahead and get it done for you. Get those customers looking for you, those targeted customers looking for exactly what you offer. Get in the position we're in, where people are calling us every day looking for what we do. We've talked about Amazon. We do have several different models where we can help either new people looking to get onto Amazon, or people that are existing on there who want to increase their sales, or possibly even have us take over the account for them and run it. We do that for customers of all shapes and sizes. We'd love to do that for you as well. So you reach out to us at 800-238-1811, or feel free to email me, Terry, Terry, at awesomedynamic.com. Now, while we're on the website, I want to make sure that you get on our awesome list, so we can go ahead and have you sign up on there. We'll keep you up to date on everything we're doing by email. We'd love to have you jump on there and keep abreast of everything we have going on. And I would be remiss if I didn't talk about us getting a 5-star Google review from any of our watchers. If you found what we've done today to be valuable, we would love to have it. It means a lot to our business to have that review. So go ahead and go right down there and click on that nice blue link and give us a great review. We would really appreciate it. So with that being said, we want to, again, remind you, bring your friends, bring your questions, And that can be on any of the subjects that we just talked about. We'd love to help you with that every Thursday, except for next Thursday for the holiday at 12:30 Central Time. And we look forward to seeing you next time. So for everybody here, have a great week, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Take care.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Adios.
Goodbye. Thank you.